Well, hello everyone. It is April and today it's time for me to choose what I'm going to read in March. Let's dive right in. Before we move into the cup, because the cup is back, before we move into that, I do want to share with you what we are reading over on my Patreon book club. We're reading an Irish author this month, and we're reading The Pull of the Stars by Emma Donoghue. I have been so looking forward to this book. It's about the Spanish flu, so I know that that can be a little touchy for some people at the moment, considering we are in the middle of a pandemic, but I am so attracted to this book. This follows a maternity ward in 1918. We're living in Dublin, and we follow this maternity ward over the course of 3 days. And specifically, we're following a nurse working on that maternity ward, and we're following all of the patients there. There are new mothers, there are soon to be new mothers, and it is about how they navigate the Spanish flu. Many of these people have contracted the Spanish flu and are giving birth. I don't know if the babies get the Spanish flu. It's meant to be amazing, but it's also meant to be a bit of a gut punch at times. I'm up for it. If you want to join us to read The Pull of the Stars with us, I will link in the description box below my Patreon page. You're always welcome to pop on over there and join us to read The Pull of the Stars in March. It's time for the cup. The cup is back. I'm going to shuffle these guys, even though I feel like I've probably already done that a million times, but just in case, we're going to be pulling out 4 cards today, and then I have to pick books that go with those prompts. Okay. They are shuffled, they're in. Time to pick my first. Gifted. Oh, I'm excited about this. Let me go to my shelves and see what I can find. Okay, so as per usual, I've got quite a few for one prompt. First up is All the Birds Singing by Evie Wyld. I think this is Leanne from Literary Diversion's favorite book of all time, and that is why I knew I wanted this book so badly. So I was really excited when Barry got this for me. This is about a woman by the name of Jack White. She lives on an island in Britain, or off the coast of Britain, and she tends sheep with her collie. Unfortunately for her, she finds that her sheep are being killed. At first she thinks it must be wolves, but then over the course of time she realizes they're not wolves. Something else is going on. And it sounds terrifying, but in the best of ways, and I'm kind of in the mood for something like that. Before we get into the next book, I do need to tell you about a giveaway that I'm doing. Well, we are creeping closer to 15,000 subscribers on this channel, and I am doing a $150 Amazon gift card giveaway. All you have to do to enter is be a subscriber, leave a comment on this video, and like this video. Stick around until the end of this video, and I'm going to get into more detail about the giveaway itself and how you can win. There's also Things in Jars that he got from me. This is by Jess Kidd, and this takes place in Victorian London, and we follow a woman named Bridie Devine, who is a detective, a female detective living in Victorian London. And she is tasked with finding a missing girl who might have some fantastic elements to her. And she's got all of these people who help her out with it, who are all quirky characters. And it sounds wonderful. I really love Jess Kidd's writing, and I really love this cover. Another book that he recently bought from me, which was so kind of him, is a nonfiction book. This is The Boy Who Followed His Father into Auschwitz. It's a true story of family and survival, and this is about a father and a son who were Jewish living during World War II, and they end up being taken and put into a concentration camp. Luckily, they survived that. However, the father, Gustav, is told that he's going to be transferred to Auschwitz, and that pretty much means that he's most likely going to die. His son is not meant to go, but he decides to go and follow his father. And this follows their story, and I believe it's based on Gustav's secret diary that he kept. It sounds amazing and really heart-wrenching, but I'm up for that. So there's the boy who followed his father into Auschwitz. Next is a book that Crystal got from me. This is The Girl Who Couldn't Read by John Harding. John Harding wrote Florence and Giles, which I fell completely in love with, about a brother and sister who have a nanny come who they just don't trust. And in this book, it's kind of a continuation. And I believe we follow a doctor. This is in New England in the 1890s. A young doctor starts working at an isolated mental hospital, and he becomes very interested in one person in particular. It's a young woman who is fascinated by books but can't read. And it follows their story, and it sounds absolutely incredible. I've always wondered what happens next, so I could read this. It's time to pick another prompt from the cup. Color you are wearing on the cover. So I'm wearing like a purpley, reddish purple color. Let's see what I can find with this color on the cover. Okay, so I found a few books that have like a reddish color on them that all sound really, really good. The first is, oh, and they're all thrillers. I'm in the mood for thrillers right now. The first is Every Last Fear by Alex Finlay. This is coming out in March, and it sounds incredible and so twisty-turny. So this is about a man who, he's a student, an NYU student named Matt Pine, and he gets the worst call of his life that essentially his family is dead. They were vacationing somewhere in Mexico, and they'd all been found dead in their like apartment hotel because of an apparent gas leak. However, the FBI is not so sure that it was an accident. Now, tragedy has completely struck this family in the past. His own brother was accused and put behind bars for killing his girlfriend. And this goes backwards in time to explore that particular event, and then also explores this current murder that's happened to his family. What happened? I need to know. But yes, all of the red bits on there, I thought that that could work. This might be a stretch, but I'm working it. Next is like pure red. This is The Burning Girls by CJ Tudor. This recently came out and I've been very interested in it. I bought it recently. I did a shop with me video. I can link that in the description box below if you haven't watched that yet. But The Burning Girls also flashes backwards in time. We are visiting a place called Chapel Croft, and a lot of crappy, scary things have happened in Chapel Croft. 500 years ago, Protestant martyrs were like burned at the stake, essentially. And then 30 years ago, 2 teenage girls vanished. And now the vicar of the local parish has hung himself. And so we follow a new reverend named Jack Brooks. He is a single parent, and he brings his daughter along with him to Chapel Croft. And when he reaches Chapel Croft, he gets a strange welcome. He gets a note that says, "There is nothing covered up that will not be revealed, and hidden that will not be known." And that is paired with an exorcism kit. I mean, that premise just, I need to read it. Is it purpley red? Yeah, no, it's not purpley, but it's red enough, right? Yeah, it just, I'm going with it. This one is probably the truest out of them all because this is a real burgundy bit on here. This is the one. You can see all of these arrows have burgundy arrows on them. So this is by John Mars. He blends sci-fi with thriller, and I think it's a lot of fun. I read The Passengers by him and really liked that. So the one is a strange dating app where they literally can pair you with your one true love, with your soulmate. And I think it's based on your DNA. And, you know, people are breaking up because they're like, I want to be with the love of my life. I don't want to be with you. Because this technology has really allowed people to find complete true happiness. Now, unfortunately for one person, their one true love just happens to be a serial killer and a psychopath. And it's about their love story. I think it sounds hilarious and also like a lot of fun. So there's the one. Time for another pick. This one. Mood read. Oh, this makes me so happy because I have so many books that I've been wanting to read. First up is a book I haven't even hauled yet. I was perusing at Shoppers Drug Mart, my local drugstore, and it was there, and I was there, and I ended up getting The Push. So many people have been raving about this book. This is by Ashley Odren, and someone recently compared this to Miracle Creek, which, like, I'd already bought the book, but then that sold me to the next level. So The Push follows a woman who's recently given birth to a daughter, Violet, and she has promised herself that she is going to raise Violet and have a really amazing bond with Violet that she didn't have when she was a child with her mom. Unfortunately, she feels like there's this disconnect between herself and Violet, and there are things that Violet does that's just odd and off, and she feels like there's something off with this child. A couple of years later, she has another child named Sam, and she has all of the bonding things that she had dreamed of. She's got it all with Sam. And Violet seems to like Sam, but things start happening. It sounds terrifying, but also fascinating. And I love this cover. It is gorgeous. So there's The Push. I also feel like it's high time for me to move on with my Junalina series that I've been into. I read The Hypnotist back in January, and I think it's time for me to move on. So The Nightmare is the second in the Junalina series. This is a series by Lars Kepler. They are a husband and wife duo. This book follows Junalina trying to connect two mysterious deaths that have, it seems, nothing to do with one another, but are linked. The first death is of a young woman who is found on an abandoned yacht. It appears that she has drowned, but it also seems like she's never been in the water. So how did she drown? The second death is a man who is hanging in his completely empty apartment. It looks like a suicide, but the circumstances are suspicious. And so Junalina gets into it and tries to link these two together. I really like this series, so I can't wait to go on with it. So there is The Nightmare. I'm really into like creepy things at the moment, so we're moving right along to a ghost story. And this is The House Next Door by Anne Rivers Siddons. First of all, I've talked about this in another video, the Could Do Better tag, where I kind of trashed this cover. How is this a scary cover? This is a ghost story. But the ghost lives next door. This is about a couple who live next door to a haunted house. And I mean, what would you do if you lived next door to a haunted house? Would you want to move too? I might. It sounds creepy, and I'm in. And last but not least is my beloved Nikki French. This is the latest book I got by this husband-wife duo. This is Beneath the Skin. I recently hauled this, and I just can't stop thinking about this. This follows three women who are being completely stalked by a madman. Otherwise, like, they have nothing in common. They're very different women, but each and every one of them are getting terrifying letters promising to bring their lives to a violent, horrific end. And I want to know how they get to the bottom of it and how they find one another. I think it's going to be fantastic. All right, shall we do the last prompt? Okay, let's do this one. What is this? Oh, ARC. Oh, that makes me happy. Okay, let me go to my shelves and look at my ARCs. Okay, so I've got 3 for you here. One of them I've already mentioned. It's Every Last Fear by Alex Finlay. I have been wanting to read this, coming out in March, so that's a potential. Next up, I could also read Good Neighbors by Sarah Langdon. This is about a suburb gone wrong. It is so twisted. No one would want to live in this suburb. This follows the people who live on Maple Street. Unfortunately, one day, a sinkhole swallows a young girl, and the mother, of course, is not happy about that, and she starts blaming people. In particular, she starts blaming one family who are kind of a bunch of misfits. They don't seem to get along with the other people in this suburb, and there's like this sense of mob violence in here. I've heard very good things about this book. There's something about the cover that doesn't scream thriller to me, but it is meant to be like a literary thriller, I believe. So I am all for that one. And then a book that I was sent back in January, I think, is The Nature of Fragile Things. I have talked to you guys about this. I have really wanted to read this. This is historical fiction. This follows 3 women on April 18th, 1906, when a massive earthquake rocks San Francisco just before dawn. And in particular, we're following a woman named Sophie, who's a young Irish immigrant. She had been living in New York, but in order to flee New York, and she was living in tenements, it wasn't a good scene. She agrees to be a mail order bride with a man that she'd never met before. So she moves to San Francisco, and he's weird and distant, and he has a young child named Kat, who is completely mute, I believe. She doesn't speak. And they seem to have some sort of bond, though. Now, I believe right before the earthquake hits, 2 other women show up on Sophie's doorstep, and this earthquake hits, and then they're completely, stuck together, lean on one another. Susan Meissner is a wonderful, wonderful author. I read As Bright as Heaven and completely fell in love. So I would love to read this one. Of course, this is an amazing stack. I am really, really looking forward to my March reading because this is a good bunch of books. So let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these. I hope that you've liked them if you've read them, and also what you're planning to read in March. I would love to know, and I will chat with you very soon. Bye, guys. All right, with 15,000 subscribers just around the corner, this is your chance to win a $150 Amazon gift card. It's in Canadian because I am Canadian. And I hope that one of you will be able to buy all sorts of lovely books from your wish list with it. Now, in order to win, you need to first be subscribed to this channel, like this video, and also leave a comment in the comments below. After we hit 15,000 subscribers, I am going to pick a random video, randomize the comments, and pick a winner. So the more videos you watch, the more comments you leave, the more chances that you are going to have to win. Good luck to all of my bookish friends out there.